I love how the psalmist deals with things that, well, really are pertinent and, well, have to do with what goes on in our lives and in our daily situations. And from our reading in Samuel, 2 Samuel chapter 19 and 20, Psalm 55 and Matthew 28, comes a couple of verses from Psalm 55 that I think speak to us very profoundly in the days and the climate that we see all around us. Psalm 55, verse 20 through 23. He has put forth his hands against those who were at peace with him. He has broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. Cast your burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain you. He shall never permit the righteous to be moved or shaken. But you, O God, shall bring them down to the pit of destruction. Bloodthirsty and deceitful men shall not live out half their days, but I will trust in you. Wow, man, oh man, does that ever seem appropriate for today's political climate and scene? Politicians have made promise after promise, but they've broken their covenant, their promise, their sacred oath. The close friends here in this passage could be likened to those leaders who are to be protectors of the people, but who have instead lined their own pockets. They've taken advantage of every situation, the very ones that they are to protect and serve. They have lost all perspective and respect for their position. And we see that all around, not just in this country, but also around the world. We see those kinds of things taking place. And I think that spiritually, one of the hardest things to do is to stand up under the attack of a close friend, to be taken advantage of or hurt by someone who's close is difficult at best. But what are we to do in those instances where politicians or close friends, what are we to do? The psalmist says we are to cast our burden on the Lord and that he will sustain us. There is great promise and hope in those words for us today, dear friends. Who can I call upon in the day of distress? Will a friend sustain me? It is my friend, the psalmist says, who has broken faith with me, has forsaken me. How can we survive in the day of trouble? Well, the psalmist says to cast our burden upon the Lord. Trust in the Lord to take care of us, to pull us through each and every difficulty that we are encountering. There is such a tendency to pull hard, to be activists and want to change the situation. But the call of God upon your life and my life, dear friends, people who know and love the Lord, is that we are to go into all the world and preach the gospel, to spread the good news of the gospel. That's our responsibility. There are people all around us who are lost and perishing, and we need to share the good news with them. And may the Lord give us the strength and the grace to do so, to not be all caught up with all of the stuff that's going on around us. It's easy to be swept away in the tide of all of those things because they evoke such feelings and such turmoil in us, and we want to see things changed. But the way that it happens is that we cast our burden on the Lord and allow him to sustain us. These are troubling times. They are difficult times, and I believe with all of my heart that they are going to get more difficult. What do we do when there is going to be an overt attack upon Christianity? Those of us who say we believe in the Word of God from cover to cover, that we will not stand for any of the compromise, but that we will stand for the truth of the Word of God. There will be difficult times for us, but what do we do in those times? Cast our burden on the Lord. He will sustain us. I believe that he'll keep us. That doesn't mean we don't make preparations if we feel that's the need to do, or any of those things. But the most important thing is that we focus upon the truth of the Word of God, stand upon that truth, and cast our burden on the Lord, and allow him to be the one who sustains us. I pray that that will help you today. If it is a help, a blessing, then you know the drill. Like us on Facebook, share it on your Facebook page, subscribe to the YouTube channel, drop a note once in a while. Love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. May the Lord richly bless you today.